Thank you very much. Welcome everyone to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and thank you for allowing me to address you for a few moments during your program and tell you a little bit about the museum. Visitors that come here will learn the centrality of African American history to the American story, because we cannot know one without the other. At this museum, the interpretation of artifacts and stories will be placed in an international context, because the impact of these stories is global. The museum is a place of collaboration. We engage new audiences and collaborate with the myriad of museums and institutions, both nationally and internationally. This museum is a place to explore and discover African American history in all of its nuances and complexities. It is also a place to remember, where we can remember our ancestors and remember stories, both celebratory and devastating. By remembering, we can stimulate a dialogue about race in America. I was fortunate to come on board this project early on, shortly before our director had been appointed. So I benefit from some of the early meetings with the Museum Scholarly Advisory Committee, a body of scholars who came together on a regular basis to listen to the museum team, to speak with museum curators, and who were essential in guiding us through this journey. A journey to create the first national museum on the Mall dedicated to the African American experience. Leading the helm was Dr. John Hope Franklin, the great American scholar of history. I think if he could be here today, he would be very proud, and we do miss him. The Scholarly Advisory Committee members, a prestigious group of scholars that include Bernice Johnson Reagan, Deborah Willis, and Richard Powell among them. They shape the intellectual content of our exhibitions, and you will have the opportunity to view some of those exhibits on the third floor today. We tell the American story through the lens of the African American experience, and we do that in a unique way. We do that through objects and material artifacts. It is part of our mission to collect such artifacts that are significant, meaningful, and profound, and I am proud to say that we've been very successful in doing so. The museum director, when he came on 10 years ago, set the goal that we would need about 30,000 artifacts in the collection, and we currently have nearly 37,000. And I'm doubly proudly to say that over 60% of those collections have come to us by generous donations. We have a unique relationship with our collection donors. It requires a tremendous amount of trust, a belief in the mission, and a trust in the museum that we'll do right by them and by their ancestors. For example, we are fortunate to have in the collection the materials of Lieutenant James L. McCullen, who was a member of the 99th Fighter Squadron during World War II and a documented original Tuskegee Airman. Lieutenant McCullen was one of the first of 2 black pilots that were killed in combat in World War II. His descendants have generously donated to the museum his Purple Heart, along with the trunk that held his personal belongings while he trained at Tuskegee Airfield. The family has also shared with us a memorial quilt cover made by his sister that honors him, a very personal family treasure that is now here in the museum collections, and a treasure to share with the nation and all visitors who come through. The family can be sure that the materials will be cared for many generations, and that Lieutenant McCullen's legacy will belong to the world exactly as it should be. You will have the opportunity to see the trunk and the Purple Heart and a picture of the quilt cover in the military gallery when you visit the third floor. Throughout history, African Americans have acted to change and build their lives despite tremendous obstacles, often in collaboration and cooperation with other Americans. The stories presented in this museum reflect the perseverance, the resourcefulness, the resilience required of African Americans to not only survive, but to thrive. And that is not just an African American story, it is an American story, and one that inspires us all. So we're pleased to give you a glimpse of some of these stories as you visit the third floor galleries today. Please, I'll repeat that we ask there will be no photography in the galleries, as we were directed earlier. I'll move on to just give you some directions about your visit. We'll divide you into 6 tour groups, And to keep the groups together, we will travel in a large freight elevator onto the 3rd floor of the museum. There you'll be met some of the museum staff who will lead you through the exhibition spaces. The staff from the museum's education department will be on hand to escort you to and from the exhibition spaces so you can return to your colleagues in the reception. I also need to remind you that this is an active construction site. It is well before opening of the museum, so please watch your step and be very careful as you move through the spaces. Thank you.